Hello again, everyone. You're joining us for another episode of Executive Platform's Blueprint podcast series. My name is Jeff Nix. I'm head of content and research. My guest today is Jon Sobel of Sight Machine. We're going to be having a conversation about getting data from the plant floor and really making a difference with it. I've had the pleasure of speaking with a number of people from Sight Machine over the years, but this is the first time I get to speak with Jon, who is co-founder and CEO of the company. This is really exciting for me. Jon, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Jeff. It's a pleasure.
I guess I want to start by talking about getting data from the plant floor in, 2024 or, the latter. We have been doing this for years. We're getting really good at it, but there's still, progress to be made. What is the state of play right now? Where are we and where are we going?
You're right. People have been talking about this for at least 10 years, in some cases 20 or 30. My sense, our sense as a company of where we're at is the case has been made for digital. Everybody believes data is going to be useful. There's a series of challenges for manufacturing. And on a technical level, I think we're through most of them. There's one big challenge that our company focuses on. People can get the data out. They get it aggregated. There's a ton of it. They know they can use it to do smart things, to make smart factories. Getting system-level scale, being able to do this all at once for a bunch of plants is still hard for people. But they're wrapping their head around it. The other thing I would say, and everybody you talk to is going to say this, there's nothing original about this idea. It's a people problem now. It's not a tech problem. We're giving people new tools. We're changing how people work. And there's a lot of opportunity in that, but that's hard. So the industry is serious. If we're a baseball game, I'd say we're in the bottom of the first inning.
Well, I think you're exactly right to say everybody is playing the game at some point, whether they're in the first inning or the third or the seventh stretch. One of the things that I keep hearing in my conversations is, everybody has that dream of, if you want to call it a grand slam. They know what is possible, and maybe they're, to stretch the analogy, focusing on bunting or baseline hit small ball. Is there a way that we can sort of guide them over some of the common stumbling blocks that are keeping them from realizing everything that they want to do with the project?
Absolutely. I love that question. So one stumbling block that everybody focuses on, because it's the first one they bump into, is called connectivity, as you know. And this isn't about sticking a wire into things and getting data out. It's about actually understanding what is your data, labeling it, all that work. There's good automated solutions for that. It's the first stumbling block, so it's the one that everybody identifies as the big stumbling block, but it's just big because it's first. Once they get that sorted out, the big unlock for this industry is making plant data like business information. And here's what I mean by that. Most AI, most really powerful analysis in the enterprise is being done with business information because business information is structured, it's usable. What we got in plants is a bunch of sensor data and stuff like that is not in shape to be analyzed. And the big efforts in the last decade largely overlooked that problem. Maybe people knew it was a problem. Maybe they didn't know it was a hard problem. When we get that solved, then you have scale. Then you can unlock very fast, effective analysis across all kinds of problems. You don't have to build one application for each use case. You can use your data for all these use cases. The key is making the data in the OT environment as analyzable and useful as data in the business environment.
Now, you mentioned AI, and
Sure.
You're probably going to start chuckling because you've had this conversation a lot, I've had this conversation a lot. Everybody wants to know what AI is going to do for them.
Yes.
How is it changing the conversation around what you're doing with manufacturing?
Oh, it's fascinating. So the name Sight Machine comes from our first product in 2012, which was image analysis. We were an AI company in 2012 when AI was not really a thing. And it's been fascinating to watch the way the AI conversation, which began in earnest at a public level about a year ago with ChatGPT, has pulled the data conversation along. So many companies are saying, I want to do AI. What do I need to do AI? Answer, I need to have good data. So the AI conversation is really catalyzing the data conversation, as it should. And that is compressed time in the buying cycle and thinking about how to do these large projects at scale. AI is absolutely catalyzing the data conversation.
I kind of love that. I love the idea that an enthusiasm for a branded term is getting people on board where, as you say, a lot of the difficulty of getting this to work is the people part of it. People are passionate about this.
Yes, absolutely. And You're right. Different companies are at different kind of stages on the journey. The other thing we're seeing, which I find intriguing, is manufacturing firms do a bunch of different things which are all connected but aren't connected on a data level. So if we think about a major manufacturer, they've got a supply chain, they got a bunch of stuff coming in, they got to manage all of that and buy that stuff well and on time and keep everything running. They make stuff, they sell stuff. All of these activities operate together, but it's really hard to get a single view of this, and it's really hard to give the person doing the job in the manufacturing firm the 360 on everything. Now the data exists to do this, but it's not put together in one level, one piece. That's where it's all headed, and it should. So the AI moment, I think, will be, when we look back on this 10 years from now, I think 2023 is when it really turned on and people got very motivated and serious about this because of seeing what is possible.
When I think of digital transformations, I think of all the conversations I've had for years now. It is a well-serviced space, but I have always known Sight Machine is a leader at what they do. Maybe you could walk us through what is the difference? Why, when manufacturers are looking at their options, why is Sight Machine one of the leaders?
I appreciate the question. It is a crowded space. There's a lot of large and small companies that have seen the opportunity. We were a bunch of webheads. When we started Sight Machine, we had the good fortune to have a founding team that was composed of people, almost all of whom had worked in manufacturing, but all of whom had worked in big data environments and large-scale internet websites for 15 years. So we always thought of this as a data opportunity. And what we focused on, and I think it has served us well and will serve us well, is the need to structure data that is so different in factories into standardized information. And our calling card, our distinctive capability is that we automate the data engineering, we automate the structuring of data, we complement everybody. There's nobody who does what we do, we don't displace anybody. So all these companies are now focused on generating data, streaming it. There's companies that are focused on AI. To put all this together, there needs to be a piece that standardizes the information in the middle, and that's our focus. So if you want to say, what does Sight Machine do that's different or unique? Structuring data.
Terrific. So, if I'm a manufacturing executive who is, resonating with what you're saying, like, I've got a legacy system and I've gone out and I've partnered with somebody and I've got this other piece and I want them to talk together. What does getting started look like? Like, how do I get that ball rolling with Sight Machine?
We try to make it easy, and there's a couple ways to get started. Because we use a product to structure data, and appreciate the manufacturing executive who wants to structure data. Structuring data is not a sexy thing, but it's important. If you want to get started, we can take data from your firm, integrate it into our product, and show you your data and how it looks when it's been standardized and is driving analysis and screens and pictures in a week or two. And we'll just do that at no cost to show you what this looks like. And then a lot of companies like to pilot and test technology. We have programs where we'll do 6 months or a year in 1 or 2 plants. We like to recommend that clients go after hard problems right away and test scale at the beginning. So many pilots in manufacturing have proven that a technology works, but they haven't proven that it works at scale. So for no cost, we'll show you your data and what it looks like when it's been transformed by Sight Machine and how it drives analysis. And then for very low cost, we'll show you scale. And when that works, what we hope to do is go to all of your plants.
What does working with Sight Machine look like on an ongoing basis? Presumably this isn't a turnkey solution. I bought it, I own it, I never see you again. How is your team working with my team to sort of get this up and running, especially when we're talking about doing it in multiple facilities?
That is such an interesting question, Jeff, because the really progressive manufacturers are not just evaluating partners on, is your tech good, but they're evaluating us on what kind of partner is the provider for scaling. And so we've been working very closely with some companies on a variety of approaches. If you want, we'll do the work, we'll scale, we'll be there for you. We've also trained internal teams to implement and scale Sight Machine within their manufacturing firm themselves. We also have a number of system integrators and consultancies that have built practices around our product, and they can do it too. And there's several levels of work. First, there's just getting it in and getting it working, month or 2 per plant. That's straightforward. Then there's getting insight doing data science on top of this work. The manufacturer's data scientist can do it. A consultant can do it. We can do it. Then there's orchestration and change management. We have some companies that have literally put together teams of 15 or 20 people to scale us across the entire enterprise. We have others that use firms like Accenture or NTT Data. And there's a variety of models for rolling it out.
I can appreciate we're already covering a lot of ground here. For people who have been listening to this and maybe want to think a little further about something, are there a couple of bullet points you want them to highlight and maybe take away from this conversation?
Yes. First, the key to scale is having standardized data. Second, test for scale right away. Don't get caught in pilot purgatory. Everybody knows that concept, but set success criteria that establish this is going to scale. And third, don't worry about having it all figured out. Know what you need to understand to put your name behind something. But there's so much that happens in every company we go into once they see what their data is telling them. And so projects always expand. And don't worry about that.
Well, I think that's an important point, and I can also, understand everybody's story is going to be a little different. So if they've got some specific to them questions, if they want to learn more, what is the best way to get in touch?
Couple of ways. Thank you for that. Please contact me on LinkedIn, Jon Sobel, Site Machine on LinkedIn, or send an inquiry to our website, www.sitemachine.com. It's very straightforward. Somebody will respond quickly. We're partnered very closely with firms like Microsoft as well. If you have a relationship with them, you can ask them about us, or Siemens, or Databricks.
Well, I always think it's so generous when someone says connect with me on LinkedIn because I get to enjoy speaking with you. So for those of you who have been listening to this episode and saying, I would like to talk with Jon, he's just made himself available, which is not to say the website isn't a good visit or talk to some of their partner organizations. Jon, this has been terrific. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it.
You've been listening to another episode of Executive Platform's Blueprint podcast series. I've been Jeff Mix. Let's do it again soon.